I was sued by two popular YouTube personalities and two companies that exhibit, or rather that partake in day trading, for videos that I created. I was sued for defamation per se. David Jaffe with BestStockStrategy.com, and in this video I'm going to teach you, or I'm going to explain to you what transpired and what happened when I was sued for defamation. I was sued by two people. They actually have a connection where one of the guys used to work with one of the others. I received a bunch of cease and desist letters and I pretty much ignored them. I'm probably not going to reveal the names of the two people and the companies that sued me. Instead, what I'm going to do is in future videos, I'm going to exhibit and I'm going to share all of the evidence that I had and that I gathered through the discovery process, or rather through through the process that I published. And therefore it's just going to be a complete, I'm just going to share everything. And generally what happens, let me just tell you my perception of what transpired. So generally what happens is I created a video. At that time I only had like 2,000 subscribers or something. And these videos, I wouldn't necessarily say that they went viral, but they had about 50,000 views, which is pretty good. They were ranking on the top of the SEO for these specific search terms. So these people, they wanted to get these videos removed. They started like harassing me. And they started like sending me letters. I ignored them. The lawyers called me and I just said, yeah, well, I'm expressing my opinion and I believe that what I said is true. So therefore they felt that they could bully me. What transpired is that when I was actually dragged into court in January, they won an initial temporary restraining order. So the judge told them that the videos had to be taken down. Now in this case, I was in federal court and I didn't have a lawyer at that moment because everything happened so quickly, or I was served and then I had to show up to court like 2 days later. So I was given poor legal advice, and even though I had a lot of evidence, I didn't didn't share it with the judge, and I just said, hey, I just asked for a continuance, and I just asked for more time in order to get a lawyer. I didn't present any evidence, and therefore the judge ruled against me and said that I had to take down the videos temporarily until this thing was resolved. What ended up happening was I hired an attorney, and basically anytime you're involved in litigation, it comes down to a situation where who's going to spend more money. So just by bringing on this lawsuit, the plaintiffs were ending up spending, ultimately they spent around $60,000. I think the first one spent around $60,000. The second one spent around $40,000. And I actually hired an attorney as well. I thought he was decent. He did an okay job. After I spent, we went to a hearing and then he sent me a bill for like $3,000. And I was like, okay, well, I believe I'm in the right, but even if I continue fighting this, I'm still going to lose because I'm going to end up spending around $100,000 in legal fees. So I had a bunch of resources. One of my really good friends is a prominent attorney down in South Florida. I went to college with him, and I had a few other resources that I could pull, that would help me to produce documents and to file things and everything like that. So I actually ended up firing my lawyer, which was really weird because he told me that it was probably one of the biggest mistakes that I was going to make and that I was then going to get steamrolled. But actually it turned out to be a really good thing. So I became pro se. Now this was fantastic because what happens when you're pro se is that you pretty much tell the other side that, okay, no problem. We can go to war, we can go to trial, and you are going to end up spending around $250,000. I'm pretty much going to end up spending nothing, and there's a decent chance, especially in this particular case, because it would have been litigated on its merits, that these people would actually lose. So by me going pro se, it shifted the entire balance of the litigation process. So I started producing a lot of motions. I started answering things. I started presenting all the evidence that I had and putting it in the answers, and the responses, in the motions. And then right before we got to the discovery process, where I would hit them with the interrogatories, the discovery questions, the admissions, and things like that, they pretty much came to me with the settlement offer. And what happened was I made a settlement offer to them, and then they like batted it back and forth, and then they formally accepted it. And I thought that this was going to happen because, remember, when you're sued, they generally try to steamroll you and they try to rely upon intimidation. In this situation, I just really, it was very stressful initially, but after I started getting more experience and making sure that I didn't miss any deadlines, and then also I was producing a substantial amount of documents, and I had the process down packed where I was producing documents, whether it be in like the Court of Appeals or the motions themselves, that were on par with an attorney, meaning that these documents that were being produced as good, if not better, in my opinion, than the attorney that I let go and that I fired was producing. So when the plaintiffs started realizing that I was pro se, yet I was being able to litigate this at an attorney level, then they started realizing that it doesn't make sense for them to spend $250,000 in order to bring this to court, because there was a decent chance that they were actually going to lose. So I had a ton of evidence where there was situations where one of the shareholders of the company was arrested for raping a child, and he was actually convicted for 2 counts of lewd conduct on a minor. There were other situations in the other case where one of the educators was arrested for stealing around $700,000 of money from a cosmetics company up in Ontario, Canada. And I had a lot of evidence, which all of this I'm going to release. Now, what does this mean for me in the future? I think what it means to me in the future is that, one, I'm going to be a target, right? Like, I'm definitely going to be a target. There are going to be attorneys who are going to send me cease and desist letters in the future. But the second thing that is really important is I feel that because I'm a target, I need to make an example out of these guys. Now, this does not mean that I'm going to do anything that is defamation or slanderous or libel or anything like that. But what I'm going to do is I'm simply going to release all of the evidence, which all of it is in the public domain. And then I'm going to allow the viewers to make a decision. Because what transpires is that you have to provide a disincentive for people to utilize the law to chill free speech. That's what it comes down to. Most of these people who are going to engage in litigation are trying to intimidate you and use money as a way of silencing the truth. They will send cease and desist letters. In fact, as you guys will see, some of these people will actually initiate lawsuits against international people who have no way of responding or showing up to court, simply to get a judgment so that they can wave it to everyone else and scare them away from posting their thoughts and their opinions. In this situation, it is going to backfire, because I need to literally nail scalpels and nail whatever it is, like nail whatever the expression is, where you nail something to the wall, you know, where you really like nail scalps to the wall. You take no prisoners, because I need to make an example, not by doing anything that is defamatory or not by doing anything which is slanderous, but I am simply going to share all of the evidence that I have. Because here's what it comes down to. I can make videos and then express my opinion, but people wonder why I don't show more evidence in all of the videos that I make. And the reason is I am always holding back evidence in case I get sued, so that I can then share it within the litigation process and then make a video later. It's kind of like, I remember when Eminem got into an argument with Mariah Carey, and then he told her that he wasn't going to, he said, make another video about me or release another statement, and then Eminem said that he's going to release all the answering machine tapes where she's like acting crazy and things like that. And in this situation, it's exactly what's transpiring. When I made those videos, I had a ton of evidence, but I didn't release it. I didn't talk about the conviction for lewd conduct. I didn't talk about many of the other things that I had. And the reason is that I thought that there was a decent chance that I was going to get sued. Once I got sued, I published all of this information in the public record, and as a result is going to act as a lack of incentive, as a disincentive for these people to move forward in the cases. With every single video that I post, there is evidence that I hold back. Now remember, during the litigation process, the plaintiffs always have the edge until it goes to discovery. Once things go to discovery and you start asking for customer lists, and like you start digging into their payment processes, you start asking for trading statements, you start asking for audits and everything like that, all the vendors that they work with, all of their affiliates, their website traffic, their Google Analytics, their Trustpilot domain, like all their backend information, so you can see any of the reviews that they've tried to hide. That type of thing is extremely damaging to the plaintiffs. And as a result, even though they might look at a lawsuit as a potential asset, once it starts going to discovery, they will start getting extremely worried, especially a lot of these fake gurus. And lo and behold, both of these cases settled before discovery. So I can pretty much, really what the settlement agreement said was that I can't repost the original video. Okay, great. So I am going to share with you all of the information that is of public record, and as a result, it is hopefully going to act as a deterrent for future people to sue me. And if they want to sue, okay, no problem. I can't stop them from trying to spend $250,000 to go to court, have it litigate, spend 2 to 3 years. Even in the off chance that they would win, this is going to get filed. Then I would then file an appeal with the Court of Appeals. And we can go through that. But remember that a lot of these people are public figures, or at a minimum, they are limited purpose public figures. So the fact that I'm not portraying everything, and that the fact that I'm not being malicious is something that is going to be a huge hurdle for these people to overcome, because they have to show malicious intent, and they also have to show a reckless regard for the truth. And in all of these situations, there is no reckless regard for the truth. So many of these people are simply trying to initiate litigation as a means of intimidation. David Jaffe with BestStockStrategy.com. You can go to BestStockStrategy.com, enter in your email address, and receive over $400 worth of free valuable training materials that is better than all of these fake gurus programs that you pay for. Please leave a comment below, like this video, and if you have any questions, let me know, and I appreciate your attention.